Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Diet Keto Lifestyle. I'm Michelle, a sports nutritionist, and today we have with us Shashikant Iyengar once again. And today we are going to discuss a topic that everyone almost always discusses, which is protein. The fear of protein is so high within all of us that we are always thinking that we are over consuming protein. We always feel that most of the issues or the health issues that we have in life are due to high intake of protein. But are we actually intaking high amounts of protein? What is the protein content in a keto diet? And is protein really bad for us, or is protein good for us? So today Shashi will take us through some data, some studies, scientific evidence, and other important points that will help us understand what is the role of dietary protein in our health, for our health. Does it benefit us? Does it not benefit us? The whole idea of this podcast is to share with you the science, the data, and the facts. Post which we suggest that you make up your own mind and you try to understand if protein is really bad for you or is protein really good for you. So welcome Shashi, and thank you for taking out the time on this morning.
So thank you, Michelle. Thank you for inviting me again. So last time I was there in your other series, the Low Carb Hero series, where I shared how I reversed my diabetes. I'm off medication and controlling my diabetes sans any medication with only nutritional means. And thanks again for inviting me for this particular session where we discuss the protein aspect. What exactly is ketogenic diet? Is it very high in protein? And the general fear and perception about protein. So
Right.
unfortunately, we tend to fear a couple of out of the three macronutrients which we have: protein, fat, and carbohydrate. A lot of myth is floated around by vested interests, especially the food industry, that certain good fats are bad for us and they're pushing the bad fat. So similarly, there is a lot of demonization against proteins. They say that while fat causes heart disease, protein will damage your kidney. So this is again vested interest, because vested interests, they want to push a lot of processed carbohydrate and junk oil with chemical concoction. So that is what the general people is. They are just consuming it as food, which is actually not food at all. I will say it is just plain junk chemical concoction. Unfortunately, the very same industry will speak very high about carbohydrate.
Right.
Now, I am not demonizing carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is essential in certain small quantity. And however, we need to dispel this myth about fats and protein. And this program, in your session, will specifically talk about the protein aspect. So maybe we'll take up fats later on in one of the other sessions.
Right, right. I totally agree with you. You know, anything happens, any lab markers go high or are not good, immediately it is protein that is blamed. Oh, you must be having a lot of protein. Are you having a lot of protein? Oh, I must be having a lot of protein. You know, so anytime there is something and, that poor protein is always blamed for something that carbohydrates and not so good fats are doing to us. So Shashi, let's begin. It's an excellent presentation. So let's move to the data. I'll share my screen now. We are not here to say how bad carbohydrates are. We are not here to talk about which fats are good for you and which fats are not good for you. We will only talk about why protein is good for us, all of us, why protein is good for us, and why protein is not the cause of the issues that we are having in our health. So, yeah, Shashi, let's begin.
Yeah. So this is my favorite slide and my favorite quote always. It is easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled. So we have been fooled for so long. And if we raise our voice that we are being fooled, people, they don't believe us, because they are already fooled for last so many years, 30, 40, 50 years, God knows how many years. Yeah, Michelle.
Right. Right. So how much protein, Shashi? You know, we
See,
always
see,
feel that we are consuming a lot of protein. I mean, you and I, we both are on a ketogenic diet for a long time. And there are times when we are not even able to reach the RDA numbers, you know, forget about crossing that and going above that limit. So how much proteins, Shashi?
see, this is as per all the dietary guideline recommendation, or as per the health authorities, as per WHO, whatever you may take. And this particular slide is from Harvard Health, where they have recommended the recommended dietary allowance is 0.8 gram per kg body weight. Okay, and they say we can go up to the twice of this, that is 1.6 gram per kg body weight, very safely and effectively. And this is up to as much as 15 to 25% of our daily caloric consumption. So let me tell you that reaching, forget 1.6 gram, even reaching 1 gram per kg body weight is a huge task in
Yes.
Indian context. In Indian context, because we are not very heavy meat eaters, in India, even the non-vegetarians have non-veg food only maybe once or twice or thrice max in a week. Most of them, most of the time, they also consume the normal vegetarian stuff, which is having a very poor protein content. It's mostly carbohydrate and could be mostly refined carbohydrate if we eat outside. So
Right.
to reach this 0.8 gram per kg body weight is one hell of a task in this country. And you will see that in the next slide.
Right. And also, you know, I mean, I'm a non-vegetarian and most of I eat mostly meat. So even with mostly meat, to reach 1 gram is a conscious effort for me, right? Like
Yes, that's true.
yeah, even doing that. And are we even consuming 0.8 grams per body weight? We are not even doing that. So if we are doing that, we are within RDA limits, but we are not even doing that, and we still believe that protein is harming us with whatever health issues we are having. Yeah, Shashi.
I think this is well known in India and across the world, and probably which is less known among the Indian public, that India is a protein deficient country, consume adequate protein, and it is so pathetic. Around 10 to 30 grams. One of the articles which had appeared in one of the lay press, and many such article appears, but no one really bothers to see all this. People just glance, and then people just turn the page, and they will read something else which makes a sensation. So actually, what happens is we Indians, we are all hugely emotional people. Nothing wrong in being emotional, but this emotion can be used in their agenda. I will always say that nutrition is another religion on politics, where everyone believes that their view is right. So this again fall in the same category. Unfortunately, this is a pathetic and sad state. We consume only, on an average, 10 to 30 gram per day, and most of the people who live below poverty line, their condition is really pathetic. And let me tell you, even those ultra rich, super rich people, even they are in a pathetic condition, because they consume usually all this refined carbohydrate stuff. So in between, only probably some few health conscious people, maybe some gymmers or bodybuilders or other such health conscious people may actually consume adequate protein. The rest of them are all malnourished actually. So in this epidemic of additional or overnourishment, actually most of us are actually malnourished. So I will say India faces a twin problem. Those below poverty line are malnourished, and those super rich people who can afford everything are also malnourished. Food, which are all nutrient poor, so they are also in effect malnourished people. Yeah.
Right, right, right.
So
Yeah,
it's a very beautiful write up, and probably people can visit this website, National Geography, what the world eats, and they can actually go and select India and actually see, on an average, typically what we eat. Most of our dietary stuff consists of grains, hugely grains,
right.
and then they have also added sugar and fat together. I mean, in one way this is right, and one way this is wrong. But let me say it is also right, because sugar and fat essentially forms energy, and grains is also mostly carbohydrate, which is also energy. So if you see, most of our food intake is primarily energy intake. And if you see, dairy, eggs, and meat forms a very minuscule part, and it is such a sad state that these are the one which actually contain what is called as class 1 protein, the highly
Right.
bioavailable, biological value proteins which you have is this. and the rest of them are, grains contains a very small amount of protein, and that too second class protein. And then we have to consume these grains in tons actually to get this RDA of protein. So sadly, this is what is happening. So this is just one view. I may not say that they are exactly correct or something, but however, when we see our own lunch or dinner plate, it will actually match this. Huge part is taken by these grains actually.
Right.
Yeah.
I always say that, even if you are having a chicken biryani for a non-vegetarian, or if you are having some chicken gravy, and that chicken gravy has like lots of roti, the biryani has lots of rice, and probably it looks like this chart itself, like, even for a non-vegetarian, that's the ratio. And I think all of this is, like you rightly said, that most of the consumption that we are doing is for energy. Now, the role that protein plays in our body, that role cannot be taken by carbohydrates or fats. And hence, protein is like really essential. And there's a huge role that protein is playing. And unfortunately, we are not having that kind of dietary intake of protein to match that role in our body. Right.
See, this chart, it is a little funny. Can you just go back to the National Geographic chart? It also shows that, in India, the consumption of dairy, eggs and produce has increased. I mean, even with this increase, it is just pathetic. Grains, sugar, fat still dominate. So I just thought, I'll just make this point. You can go to the next slide.
Right. And even if we are taking sugar and fat separately, which is the purple one, that is still more than protein.
Yeah.
Put together, right? I mean, well, that's a funny part. Okay. Okay. So kidney and keto, Shashi, I mean, I don't think there is a better buzzword like kidney and keto that goes together in the, in the nutrition community. So let's talk about keto and kidney.
So this particular study, okay, which actually shows that very low calorie ketogenic diet, which is safe and effective in weight loss in patients with obesity and mild kidney failure. In fact, 38 participants in this actually had a mild kidney failure, and they were all obese patients, and they went into this higher protein diet as well as normal protein diet comparative. And then they found that there is hardly any difference in the renal function. But they found that what is funny was they were found that 27.7% of the patient with mild renal failure actually had reversal of their renal issue on a higher protein diet, on a ketogenic diet. I will not say higher protein, let me say ketogenic diet, because ketogenic is higher fat, moderate protein, and very, very low carbohydrate. So essentially this study will actually dispel the fear that ketogenic diet damages kidney, which is totally wrong. In our country, we are we are literate, semi-literate or illiterate. Even if we're educated, we are also illiterate people, because we read only the headline and we have filled with a lot of dogmas, and then we'll drum roll certain things, certain dogmas without understanding what is ketogenic diet, what is high protein diet. We don't know anything. So everything is only conforming to our biases. So we may be biased against protein, we may be biased against keto. And let me tell you, a hell lot of people are biased against keto only because either they have vested interest or they have zero knowledge. And I'm not bothered about who is educated or what. If people are not read really about ketogenic diet, then they don't deserve to talk on this, irrespective of their qualification. Okay, True. So we will see. You can go to the next slide.
Right.
So low carbohydrate diet may reverse kidney failure in patients with diabetes. Again, this is animal study. It's a mice study where they found out that specialized high fat, low carbohydrate diet can actually reverse the kidney disease. So this is also we have seen in many of the cases, in our own family and friends, those who have some mild issues, they were actually reversed. In fact, my cousin, microalbuminuria rose to around 100 units. He was on insulin, and by adopting a low carb ketogenic diet, his MAU microalbuminuria came to around 8 units within 3 months, and he got off insulin also. So anyone who thinks, and there are a lot of such anecdotes available, and a lot of such studies are also available. This is just one study, though it's not a human, it's a mice study. nevertheless, it is worth considering. Next
Right.
slide.
Right. Also, here we would like to say that please consult your doctor before you make changes, or please consult a good low carb nutritionist. Just don't buy proteins off the shelf and just start consuming, thinking that gulping down some really low category of protein is going to now suddenly make your kidneys very healthy. So this is not a medical advice, but we are just sharing with you our experience, and we are sharing with you studies that are published. They are there on Google. You can go and check them out. So yeah, Shashi.
Yeah, so as you rightly said, yes, this is not a medical advice, and people are consuming a lot of drugs. They may be uncontrolled. Suddenly, if they start doing this diet by reading some chart downloaded from internet, they are likely to fall into trouble, because there are a lot of aspects to it. It is highly individualized, and they might go into hypoglycemia, and they might fall down unconscious. So you require a team for this, a team of doctor and a low carb nutritionist specifically. So this is again one more study. This is again a mice study which shows that there is a reversal of diabetic nephropathy on a ketogenic diet. So one more study which also says, just go to next slide. So this is again a study which was done in animal model, again which shows that polycystic kidney disease can also be reversed with a ketogenic diet.
Right.
Just go to the next. Yeah, so this is again an animal model. It's again a mice study, but then they hypothesize that maybe one day this can low carb diet can essentially will it be able to replace dialysis or something. So this is a very old study, 2013.
Right.
Okay, this was not replicated elsewhere, but the general dogma is we fear to do everything in humans. So there is no one to do, because no one is going to benefit by doing such studies. So most of these studies are done for some academic interest. And to do in real life, it requires a lot of funding and a lot of benefit once. So no one does all this, but all these studies do exist.
Right.
This is just a small aspect, Michelle, and we have seen actually in our own circle that a lot of people actually get benefit. And ketogenic diet or even high protein diet does not damage kidney at all.
Right. Yeah. And it's an excellent statement that the researcher says. He says, I speculate that this may be useful to completely cure diabetic kidney failure. And I hope that it's possible. If it's possible, we can potentially not require a dialysis. That's a big deal. So he's also speculating, but then it is a study done. And when we say high protein, if we have to go back to the RDA slide, what exactly is high protein? We are not even consuming enough. Like you said, we are undernourished as far as protein is concerned. So, yeah.
So, protein intake and kidney function. So, this is one more, study which shows that there is no detrimental effect of high protein on kidney function. Therefore, no significant difference actually between the high protein diet and the normal protein diet. So, what is high protein? See, 1.6 gram. What is high protein? Maybe 1.5 gram per kg body weight, maybe 2 gram per kg body weight. There are studies which have shown that people taking as much as even 3.5 gram per kg body weight, they do excellently well. And probably they were all, no doubt they were all some gym goers or athletics or those bodybuilders who are taking. Nevertheless, it has shown that anyone with a normal kidney function, little higher protein diet makes absolutely no difference at all. Yeah, if someone is having a renal issue, then they should go as per the medical practitioner's advice. So there, a high protein diet is actually not recommended. But even there, they recommend something like at least going to the RD of 0.8 or maybe even 0.6, whatever the doctor recommends appropriately. That is okay. Whatever we are speaking, we are all speaking for the people with normal kidney function.
Right. And so we are not absolutely speaking for put out the studies that are there, right? So this is not our point of view. This is not something that you think and I think. It is some evidence. There are some studies done, and we are just throwing light on the studies, like we mentioned in the beginning. What you accept and how you go about with it is completely your choice. But we are just here to say what the science is saying.
Yeah. Go to the next one. No difference in kidney function between low protein and high protein. So this is one more study. They have found that there is no difference between, maybe, in a little higher protein, they found that higher protein diet increase the GFR, maybe slightly. It causes hyperfiltration. And then many people think that, hyperfiltration actually leads to kidney damage. But let me tell you, none of the studies actually conclude that hyperfiltration leads to kidney damage. Yeah, if someone has little more protein, maybe there's a slight increase in filtration, and maybe there's a slight increase in GFR. Now, if GFR goes down, there's a concern, not GFR going up. Okay, so paradoxically, we are afraid of something else. So we go to the next study. So there are some interesting studies coming in. So this is a huge intervention trial, preview study, and this is a sub study of preview. In fact, they found out in this 1 or 3 years intervention study that there is hardly any difference between the low protein as well as high protein group. Yeah, just go to the next slide. This sub-study is a part of 3-year large multi-center randomized control trial called Preview. Prevention of diabetes through lifestyle intervention and population studies in Europe and around the world. The main aim of Preview was to investigate the effect of high protein, low glycemic index diet versus moderate protein, medium GI, and high versus low intensity physical activity. More than a total of 300 overweight or obese pre-diabetic people were actually included. Just go to the next slide. So the conclusion of the study was, in conclusion, this study of overweight, pre-diabetic, older adults from 5 countries, we found no evidence that high protein intake. So when I say high protein intake, it is what they have used is more than 1.6 gram per kg body weight. That is what they have used in the study. Was associated with, they were not associated with any decrease in kidney function after 1 year. Moreover, there is no indication that increasing protein intake caused any differential effect on kidney function among adults with a low or high baseline protein intake. So ineffective, what they say is there is no change in the kidney function. Right. Even after, let us say, 1 year of this randomized control trial. So this is a randomized control trial, which is one of the gold standard studies with the medical profession believes in. It is not an associations trial where, they give this full frequency questionnaire. They will give it to random individuals and ask them what they have taken in last 1 year. Now, who the hell remembers what we have taken 1 week prior? I don't even remember what I did 2 days. What I took 2 days prior, 2 days back. How will I remember what I took last 1 year? So this is how certain junk studies are conducted. How a randomized control trial, prove otherwise, that it is very safe, effective, and there's hardly any change.
Right.
There's no change at all.
And when we say there is no change at all, which means that we are trying to say that it has not decreased your kidney function or negatively affected your kidney function, even with a rate of 1.6%, 1.6 grams per body weight, even with that amount of protein, which honestly you and me are also not consuming on an average in today's date. Even with that, their kidney functions were perfectly fine, not decreased from what it was when they started the trial.
So this one more randomized control trial, comparative effect of low carbohydrate versus high protein versus low fat diet on kidney. What they have concluded was, in healthy obese individual, a low carb, high protein weight loss diet over 2 years was not associated with any noticeably harmful effect on GFR, albuminuria, fluid or electrolyte balance as compared to a low fat diet. So they say that, this warrants even a further long-term study. Okay. So this itself was 2 years study, which shows there is no harm at all. So this is one more randomized study which is available. Go to the next slide. We'll come to one more randomized study. Here is again the health effect of protein intake on healthy adults. This is a systematic review. Okay, they have just done a systematic review, and then they find that there is hardly any difference between what is called as a normal low or a higher protein intake in healthy individuals. Go to the next one. One more randomized control trial, renal function following a long-term weight loss in individual with abdominally obesity on a very low carbohydrate versus very high carbohydrate diet. Again, you can see there is hardly any difference here. There is no change in any of the kidney parameters. So participants were all healthy as far as renal function is concerned.
Right.
Go to the next one. So there's one more changes in renal function during weight loss induced by high and low. Again, moderate change in dietary protein intake causes adaptation. Now they find that, there is a small increase in the renal size. However, there is no change in the kidney function. Okay.
True.
Renal size slightly increasing. It doesn't mean that kidney is damaged. On the contrary, let me say that protein is highly anabolic. So it is having a very good effect. And,
Right.
this is cited by many studies actually.
Right.
Go to the next one. Yeah, comparative effect of low carbohydrate versus high protein diet. Again, this is the same thing. There was no noticeable harmful effect on GFR, albuminuria, fluid or electrolyte balance, and everything was safe. Go to the next one. Effect of high protein diet on healthy adults result from Omni Heart trial. This is again a diet rich in protein, increased eGFR, whereas long-term consumption of high protein diet is uncertain. Again, they say that it is uncertain. However, the positive point I will say is it is increasing the eGFR, whereas most of the carbohydrate-rich diet over a period of time with prolonged increase in blood sugar or hyperglycemia actually reduces eGFR.
Right.
Reduction in eGFR is a big problem in our country, rather than increase in eGFR. This is again taken from Diabetes Care ADA on lifestyle management, where they have recommended, protein can be as high as 1 to 1.5 gram per kg body weight, or 15 to 20% of the calorie intake, which is quite high. Our population is just taking on an average around not even 5 to 10% of it. Okay, even if they double it, it will go to only around 15 to 20.
True.
So this one more study, randomized control trial, weight loss diet in people with type 2 diabetes and renal disease, where again they conclude that this difference in dietary protein has no effect on renal function.
Right.
So
in fact, they are
this is
saying
one
weight
more
loss
study.
improved renal function.
Yeah.
Right.
In fact, that is obviously most of the places you will actually find the renal function actually improving. So most of these obese patients may have some sort of renal damage or
Right.
reduced renal function in the background. So one more randomized control study, again effect of high protein, low carb diet in the treatment of type 2 diabetes, 12-month randomized control trial. Again, they found no difference in the renal function of between both the groups. Yeah. So this is one more study. Okay, this is the DEWL trial, diabetes excess weight loss trial, and they found no difference in the renal function between those taking a high protein and someone the other side taking high carbohydrate diet. So these are all different studies, and we are not going into the depth of the studies except
Right.
that they are not found any difference.
Right.
So this is again a sort of a review article in Medical Express where they show that researchers show that high protein does not affect kidney function. Just go to the next slide. So that's what they say, that there is simply no evidence linking a high protein diet to kidney disease in healthy individual or those who are at risk for kidney disease due to conditions such as obesity, hypertension, or even type 2 diabetes. And according to the one of the researchers, he says that protein causing kidney damage just lacks any support. And I think we should put this concept to rest. Yeah, it's high time to bury it, put
Right.
it 6 feet under the ground. So what is happening generally is all lot of myths and BS.
Right.
So protein does not damage the kidney in a normal individual. So this may be a surprise to many of us. Many of us do not know that Obesity Medicine Association, whether it is a 2019 or latest 2020 guideline,
Right.
ketogenic diet, keto or Atkins diet forms a part of their recommendation for obesity. In addition to Mediterranean diet, in addition to low-fat diet, in addition to bariatric diet, they have also mentioned very specifically and categorically ketogenic diet. Now let me tell you, if keto really damages kidney, do you think such a huge association from US, do you think they will recommend this? No.
Right. Right.
So this is there. It is there in the algorithm. People just need to go to the net and find out.
True. Yeah.
So American Diabetes Association 2019-2020, in their medical nutrition therapy, they have recommended LCD and BLCD. Now LCD is low carbohydrate diet, where the carbs can be as much as 100 gram.
Right.
And BLCD is very low carbohydrate, where it can be 20 to 30 grams.
30
Now,
grams.
20 to 30 gram is essentially nothing but ketogenic diet.
True.
So even they recommend that these two nutrition form has the highest blood sugar lowering effect. Now, if it was really damaging to kidney, do you think a big organization like ADA will recommend? No. But unfortunately, many of us do not know, that such a recommendation actually is there in their guideline.
Right. Right.
This is very sad. Many of us do not know that it is there in the guideline, and still we keep telling that no, ketogenic diet, low carb diet is not recommended for diabetic patients. People who say this, they just need to go and read the guidelines again.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Also, I think it takes a lot of time for this, for these positive news to really come down to the last level. So, I mean, ADA by itself has like said that, okay, eggs are good for us now. They are no more bad for us. But who exactly is aware of it? The previous one which said that eggs are not good for us due to high cholesterol or whatever other reasons, that news is still in the media today. That news is still circulating within the normal population today. So that itself has not reached us up till now. And I don't know when this is going to reach, but then anybody who's watching this, please go to the ADA website. I mean, this is not something that we've made up on our own. And if they are recommending it, then give it a thought. I mean, at least it is not bad for you. Yeah.
So, position statement of Diabetes Canada. This is the this just like ADA is there in America. So, similarly, Diabetes Canada is there in Canada. They also recommend low CHO or very low CHO. Now, very low CHO is nothing but ketogenic diet, and they are recommending for type 1 and type 2 both. So,
Right.
this is one more association after ADA.
Right.
Diabetes Canada has also recommended that you can go for low carbohydrate or very low carbohydrate diet for type 1 and type 2 diabetic both.
Right.
So this means we have seen at least 3 large medical association bodies actually are recommending these diets. So there has to be something good in them. It is not damaging their kidney. It is not damaging their liver. It is not
Right.
damaging their heart.
Right.
It is there, but only we need to read all this.
Right.
Now let me tell you, in our country, a lot of preparations are sold by the name of keto tablet, keto for weight loss and everything. See, in ketogenic diet or LCHF or low carbohydrate diet, we recommend fresh home cooked food. We don't recommend all these ready foods and these supplements. In fact, this is many of the preparations are available which contains beta hydroxybutyrate. It can contain Garcinia cambogia. It can contain various masalas. Let me say, and this is just one one anecdote or something which is appeared, which shows that one of the extracts of Garcinia cambogia and some hydroxycitric acid or something which actually can lead to kidney damage. So this is just something one off. And this again in World Journal of Gastrology has shown that in one of the patient it caused Garcinia cambogia actually caused liver damage and which requires transplantation. Now this is not something, this is not an anecdote. This is something which is published in medical literature. People should go and see, and people should not fall in trap for all this junk keto supplements.
The keto supplements, weight loss ones, right?
So what causes kidney damage? Please go and see, go and visit any of the dialysis center, and every patient who comes, just ask them, are they on ketogenic diet? Where they on? You will be surprised to find that most of them are either diabetic or hypertensives, which is not controlled well. In fact, high blood sugar and uncontrolled BP actually causes much more kidney damage. And this is not only it is documented, but it's a fact. Just go to dialysis center, meet any doctor, and just find out. You will say that he will say that all 100% of patients are either of these. Maybe someone due to some other toxin or something. But I'm sure that not a single one of them are suffering due to ketogenic diet. Yeah. So this is a favorite slide in each and every conversation. I always like to quote this. This is a study which was carried out by one of the municipal hospital in Mumbai, by an IR hospital, and they found out that most of the children, school-going children in affluent section of Mumbai, that is South Mumbai, they all suffer from fatty liver. In fact, most of them also have not only fatty liver, but some degree of fibrosis, liver fibrosis. This is very dangerous, and you can see we know what they eat. They eat all those junk food, pizza, pasta, burger, Coke, and no one talks about this. Does the media? How many of our population, who are terribly afraid of keto and who are speaking against keto, have really read this article? But this is never made popular. No one sees this, and then we keep feeding all this junk stuff to our children. And you can imagine at a school-going age, if someone requires kidney transplantation, how horrible it is. We are killing our own children by feeding them all this junk. And when it comes to protein, we are afraid. I don't know what kind of people we are. Yeah.
Right.
So, coming down to, the importance of protein, we never understand, we never know. We think protein is useless, we think fat is useless, we will take whatever food we want. So we have these three macros: carbohydrate, protein, and fat. And this slide is actually, I've taken it from Nutrition Network, and the due credit goes to Nutrition Network that I've borrowed this slide from them, and I'm sure that they will not mind. So the role of carbohydrate is only as a source of energy, nothing else.
Right.
Whereas protein, if you see, protein can be used as energy. It is used to synthesize a lot of antibodies, enzymes. It is used to maintain acid balance. It is used to repair maintenance of tissue, hair, skin, eyes, muscle, hormone production, transportation of molecule, and as a messenger. So protein has a multiple function in our body. Okay, we are made up of protein, let me tell you. And unfortunately, we are made up of protein and we don't take protein, and we take carbohydrate. 70 to 80% of the diet is carbohydrate, whereas actually 70 to 80% should actually consist of protein and fat together. And carbohydrate should be not even 30%, it should be less than 10%. So in this topic, while you're talking about protein, let me also read out on the fat also. Fat is also, it's a source of energy, source of glucose, ketone. It is useful for vitamin absorption, A, D, E, K. It is a structural material for all cell membrane, useful in hormone production. It is used in chemical messenger, prostaglandin formation, and preserves the integrity of blood-brain barrier, and also as insulation. So, essentially, I will say that, we require more of protein, fat, and lesser of carbohydrate. In fact, protein, fat together, let us put it as fatty protein.
Right.
As Kaizad Kapadia always says that, we have only two macros. One is carbohydrate and another is fatty protein. So actually, we require more of fatty protein food than carbohydrates.
Right. And this slide by itself, and to just emphasize on the point once again, we are made of fat and protein, right? Organs, hormones, and people are scared of eating protein, but we are buying protein-rich shampoos for better hair and protein-rich nail polishes for better nails, but we are so scared of having eggs, right? And think about it, if somebody is selling a shampoo at a better price with added protein in it, which means that protein is essential for you. So why do you want to buy a shampoo rich in protein? Why don't you consume protein, right? And look at the functions of carbohydrate in our body, and look at the functions of protein and fat in our body. Now, something that is used to build, repair, maintain, if we are scared of it, then how are we going to move towards better health? And of course, quite a few years back, we were also one of these people, we had our own journey where we consumed a lot of carbohydrates, where we feared protein, we feared fat. But now we are saying that it's an age of technology. There is so much of information out there. So this is just our effort to show you that, look, what protein and fat positively can do for you, and what is the role of carbohydrates in our life. And so, Shashi, let's come to the point. Now we've understood why protein is good for us. We've seen a lot of data and study which says that protein is not harmful for us. So in different studies where they said that protein had no effect, which means that protein did not have any negative effect, right? We have also seen that on a positive note, what are the functions that protein plays in our body? What is the role of fat in our body? Now let us understand what is the source of protein. Protein sources for first-class complete protein. Why first-class complete protein, and why these are the sources of protein? Why not soya bean and other
See, Michelle, this slide is something which you can explain very well. You are a low-carb nutritionist. So I will leave this slide to you. But before we go further, let me tell you that my favorite sentence again always quote is, all plant protein are attached with carbohydrate and excess carbohydrate, whereas all animal source protein are attached with fats. So animal source protein also forms our paneer, our cheese and curds, which are considered as vegetarian in this country. So we can just go ahead and take, and rest you can explain actually much better than me.
Right, right. So like Shashi said, why these are the sources of protein. So the next time you are thinking that what protein you should consume, if you are a vegetarian, then there is paneer, there is cheese, there is hung curd, and if you are open, you can always also try whey protein, a good quality whey protein. If you are a non-vegetarian, then eggs, fish, meat, red meat, white meat, all of these are sources of protein, first class protein, because this is like a really high class protein. It doesn't have carbohydrates with it, and these are proteins, natural protein. So like Shashi said, in nature protein comes with a combination of fat, whether it is egg, whether it is fish, whether it is meat, whether it is paneer or curd, cheese, all of these things, your protein that is coming from your dairy, all of this comes with a good quality fat. So please have lots of good quality protein, which we just mentioned the sources. And before you switch your diet, do consult a good low carb nutritionist, connect with your doctor. We hope we were able to make a point that protein is not bad for us. In fact, protein is only good for us. So, yeah, Shashi, do not fear protein.
Let me conclude that first of all, it is very difficult to overeat protein. So unless someone is taking some 5 or 6 or 7 protein shake,
Right.
which is not recommended at all, to eat this natural protein food is just one hell of
A task.
difficulty. We cannot eat, physically we'll have to sit down and eat and then drink a lot of water and then gulp it inside, which no one does. It is very difficult to overeat protein, let me tell you. And it is as per our satiety signal will set in as soon as you take this protein and fat, and
Right.
you will not be able to eat at all. But let me tell you, if I keep 1 kg of cake in front of you, you will be able to down this cake. But if I keep 1 kg of paneer, I challenge you, you will not be able to take more than 250 gram or even 500 gram. 250 is also one hell of a big task.
Right.
On an average, we'll be able to down 100 to 200. Even 250 grams will not be able to take paneer at all. So this is the difference between protein and carbohydrate plus sugar combination which is there. So thank you, Michelle. We had a good discussion on this. In fact, there are a lot of data available online. People, those who want to see, they can just go to net, do some research and see. And then, we should not fall for this vested interest who are out to destroy our health with all this processed stuff. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Shashi. Thanks a lot. And hope we'll catch up soon for some more conversation around the other macronutrients specifically. But thank you again. And thank you, viewers, for watching. In the comments, do let us know your feedback, like, share. Please go through these studies on your own. Look for data yourself and take care. Thank you, Shashi.
Thank you.